My father's funeral had 200 people. I knew maybe 30 of them. One woman laid a single rose on his casket and walked out before it was in the ground. I found her 3 weeks later. I wish I hadn't. I'm 36, probation officer. I assess people for a living. Inconsistencies, hidden patterns, things that don't line up. My dad died in October. Heart attack, 64, no warning. The funeral was packed in a way I didn't expect. He was well liked. I knew that. What I didn't know was that half the room had a version of my father I'd never met. The woman with the rose was gone before I could reach her. I got her plate from the funeral home parking lot camera. Old habit, I always notice plates. Ran it through a contact. Name came back as Sandra, 58, local address, no record. I sat on it 2 weeks before I did anything. My mother was grieving. My sister was grieving. I told myself I was protecting them. Really, I was just scared of what I'd find. I drove to Sandra's address on a Wednesday afternoon. She answered the door and her face told me she'd been expecting someone to show eventually. She looked at me and said, "You have his eyes." I hadn't introduced myself. She already knew exactly who I was. I asked how she knew my father. She stepped back from the door and said, "Come inside." Her living room had photos on the wall. My dad was in 3 of them. Sandra and my father had known each other for 19 years. Not an affair. Something more complicated. They'd met through a grief group after her son died. Stayed close. She described a version of my dad that was real. I could hear him in every detail. Thoughtful, funny, showed up when it counted. She said he talked about me constantly. She knew my job, my city, my daughter's name. A stranger knew my daughter's name because my father had loved them both. I asked why he'd never mentioned her. She said he'd tried once early on, and my mother had reacted badly, so he kept it separate. 19 years of separate. She pulled out a box he'd left with her, said he'd told her if anything ever happened, someone from his family would eventually come. Inside were letters, 30, maybe 40, all addressed to me, all unsealed. He'd been writing to me for years and never sending them. I took the box home and didn't open a single letter for 2 weeks, just moved it from room to room. My mother asked what was in it. I said old documents. That was the first time I'd lied to her and it felt terrible. I finally opened the first letter on a Sunday night alone. His handwriting, his voice. The first line said, "If you're reading this, you found Sandra, which means you're still you." I had to put it down after that. I read all 38 letters over 3 nights. He wrote about mistakes, about the grief group, about things he wished he'd said out loud. He wrote about watching me become someone he was proud of. He wrote about my mother with love and complication in the same sentence. None of it was what I expected. None of it was the man I thought I'd completely understood. It made him more real than the funeral did. I told my sister eventually. Not my mother. Not yet, maybe not ever. My sister cried and then said she wanted to read the letters too. We sat together on her couch and went through them slowly. Sandra sends a card on his birthday. I write back now. It's a strange thing, gaining pieces of a person after they're gone. Grief is supposed to shrink over time. Mine just keeps getting more complicated. I think he would have found that funny. I'm starting to, a little.